When low player Terrans go for a stupid turtle approach and start massing BCs and Vikings, the only counter for them, the Corruptor, sucks completely, even when one manages to mass them. Now, I will not brag about my own capabilities, probably because this guy has none, but I mostly play unranked to practice until I feel I would do well in ranked games. However, it is frustrating to confront Terrans and see how they can just do nothing and force cost-inefficient trades for the opponent. I may suck, but please also answer if there's any imbalance on the forced late-game result of some games. This was sent in by Chris, with a K, from North America in the Platinum League with an MMR of 2,933 MMR with the question, is it IMBA or does Chris suck? We're here to find out. All right, and here we go. Chris in the bottom right as our red Zerg player, Hydro-G Chris. And in the top left as our blue Terran, we have Gemstone Gino. Blue Terran. Let's see how it's going to open up. He's opening up with a CC first, but so far without the CC. With a barracks. All right. Well, it's very rare to see someone floating enough money for a command center while still having to build their first production structure and then not getting the command center. Well, he's going to get the command center, just double barracks into CC. Now, this is what we call not a build order. This is one of, you know what this is? This is a couple drinks in on a Friday night. Okay, sitting with your mates. All of your mates are same level as you are. All plat. Playing 2v2s or 3v3s usually. Having a couple of beers. And all of a sudden you have it. Double barracks into CC in the wall. And listen to this, you tell them. It's safe, because it's a wall. Things can't come in. They can't come in, guys. They cannot come in. They'll be on the outside. Your Marines on the inside. Shooting out. It's always better pissing out than pissing in, is what I say. And it counts for the toilet as well as, if you have a somewhat of a annoying guy around, it's better to keep him in the group than outside of the group. Because that way the bully is with you rather than against you. Always befriend bullies. That is my rule. And not to make them a better person, but so that you're not the one that gets bullied. It's self-preservation is one of the most important things in life, my friends. It's the only thing that truly matters. Nice lift there on the barracks as well. I bet he also thought of that on the Friday night. That was after beer number 6. He came back to it. Like the thought first arises after beer number 3. It's like, 2 barracks and a command center in the wall. And after beer 6, all of a sudden you just scream out. It's like, you lift it! And everyone starts clapping. He lifts it. That's the Overlord as well. It's a good start here for Gemstone Gino. Nice name as well. Good opener for Chris. Overlord at a bit of an odd timing, but I can live with that. Speed starting, third base pretty quick. We have injects going down almost at the exact timing where they should. Look, there's a little bit of flotation there on the energy, but that is okay. I can live with that on that queen. There's like 5 energy. Yeah, that's pretty much down on the money there with those injects. That's solid. He's going to go for a scout as well with the links. If he sends in this Overlord at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, this guy has watched some Zerg guides, 100%. Ooh, links actually meet these Marines in the middle of the map. That's intense. That is intense. Does get the window. 4 links beat 2 Marines. Even when they don't have speed. And then 2 links remain. I didn't know that. I guess there was no real micro on the Marines, but, still. Ooh, this is interesting. What's this Marine doing? Wrong side of the road. eBay in the wall as well. Sensor tower. Yeah. Gemstone Gino is not planning on dying today. He has plans of staying alive for a little while. Roach Warren on the way. Double gases, double evos. A little bit early perhaps on the Roach Warren. Not a huge fan of that. Don't even have gas to build roaches. So why is it this early? If you can't build any roaches. You also don't need roaches this early. You really don't. Did we get a scout yet at all? And saw that there was a barracks in the wall. Saw that there was a barracks floating. So he knows that there's not going to be any type of Hellions early on. It's most likely going to be some type of 2-on-1 setup. And thus, that the first timing you really have to be afraid of is Well, it could be a 3-rex or a 2-on-1. So like maybe the 5-minute mark, that's what you want to be looking at as, you know, maybe your first round of units needs to finish there. And before that, just queens and drones. And that's exactly what he's doing. Overlord probably should be popping in at this point. Oh my God, what? He actually did pop in. I was going to flame him for not scouting, but he just pops in. This is good timing for a 2-on-1. I like this timing. I really do. I think this is solid. It's going to fly in. It's going to... Oh, that's a bad timing there for a fusion core here, Gemstone Gino. Oi, 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 Gemstone Gino. That is not a nice timing at all. It's kind of funny, by the way. It's called Gemstone Gino. Actually, there's no joke here. Wait, now there is a joke. A diamond, is that a gemstone? I don't think it is. I was gonna say, but he isn't diamond yet. That was the gem. Is diamond? Let me Google that.
Not only are diamonds obviously gemstones, but they are also the 5th most popular gemstone. Just as Terran might be the 5th most popular race in StarCraft.
Joke would have worked, but I ruined it. That's just like Gemstone Gino here ruined the positioning of that fusion core. I'm pretty sure that the refinery spotted the Overlord already as well. Marauder joining in the fun as well. It's gonna take this thing out. 7 more drones. I really like this start here by Chris. I think so far Chris has done everything well. He is what we call the perfect platinum PP. Spire, couple of spores, double upgrades as well. Now he's... I was gonna say he's floating a little bit of larva, which is rare. And he's also building 11 spores. Now, I'll pause here for a second and I'll explain something. This is something that I see very often in lower level games. People scout a structure and they'll know what that particular structure does, but they also believe that that threat will materialize instantly, which is not the case at all. Like here, what we're seeing is that he scouts the fusion core still building and he pretends like he's seen a battlecruiser. But a battlecruiser is still an entire minute away at this point. That means that if you're going to respond to a BC, you can do it a minute from now, all right? This is like hearing on the news that it's going to rain tomorrow and going outside with an umbrella. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, the response here is kind of overblown in a way. 11 spores? Like either these 11 spores were for the Liberator, and in that case it is insane. It's like nuking a freaking hurricane levels of insane. Or it is for the battlecruiser, and then this is still extremely overblown in my opinion. You can say, hey, I want 2 spores in my main base, okay? 2 spores in my main, so I don't have to think about my main anymore. And then the queens can deal with the natural, with the 3rd, and the 4th base. Okay, the queens can kind of move in between. Also, your spire is about to finish up already, so you're just gonna have actual anti-air ready before the first BC is even gonna pop. Of course, this BC started fairly late, so it's not entirely fair here to sit and say, well, you know, because the fusion, what's it called? Weapon Rift is going to finish up here before the first BC. That's not normal. You always start with the first BC. And the Weapon Rift, the Yamato cannon, takes 100 seconds. So the first BC could have been out for like 30 seconds already, like 2 spores in the main base, and then the queen's just rotating around trying to fight the BC with just a single spore per other base is going to be fine. Now you're floating a crap ton of larva, and you had been floating a crap ton of larva for a long time, which could have been drones. You could have had probably 75, 80 drones at this point, even with your injects, which haven't been perfect, but have been very good. But instead, you just didn't have the money for quite some time. And now you still do have plenty of money. You're going to probably need to invest that into corruptors, though. Gas is a little bit late as well. How many corrupts do we have? 3? I don't understand this. The complete sense of urgency that you had earlier when building these spores to deal with the BCs has now just disappeared. Look at this. We're starting an infestation pit. We're starting the +1 flyer attacks. And we're starting 2-2 upgrades. That's a lot of gas here that's being invested into things that don't actually deal with battle cruisers. In things that, you know, that are great for a longer game. But you can't have that sense of urgency 2 minutes ago. And then when the threat is actually there, to not care anymore. It just doesn't make any sense. That's like using 5 umbrellas when the sun is shining, and then when you see, oh, it's hailing, you throw the umbrellas out. Like, what? But I'm not sure if an Umbrella actually helps a lot against hail. I guess if the hail isn't so severe, it might be fine. And this isn't so severe. This isn't such a severe attack. It's 2 battle cruisers. Gonna fly in here with the Corruptors. Double Yamato should go down. One Yamato had already been used, I guess, on the Queens. So you have the confirmation right now that there are battle cruisers. What is the correct play in this at this point? Well, I'd say get a bunch of drones and then just get as many Corruptors as you can. All the minerals go into drones. All the gas, boom, sink that into Corruptors right away, because Corruptors are a great counter to battle cruisers. You can produce them in very high numbers. Your opponent doesn't have a fort base yet. You're already on 4. You probably should be mining from it as well. You probably should be taking the gases there as well to kind of utilize that advantage of having an extra base, because so far that's not really the case. You also build 54 links against an opponent that has 11 Marines with combat shield and stim. No stim, combat shield, that's it. This guy just has combat shield. Turret's now going down defensively on the side of Gemstone Geno. And surprisingly, despite Gemstone Geno having a pretty terrible opener and dealing no damage whatsoever, supplies are completely even. Completely even right now. Links moving in forward, see the planet there. You're like, oh, I believe we can do it. No, can't do anything here. Nope, gonna be moving back. Sees the increased number of battle cruisers as well. What's the response going to be? 5 more Overlords. Gonna bring the... Oh my, well, it's never gonna be supply blocked anymore, because he's gonna be at max capacity. We still have 4, we had 14 larvae. It's gonna turn into 15 drones. That's a good call. This should have happened... I said at the 7-minute mark with your larva that you had available, you probably should have been at like 75 to 80 drones. You're going to hit that a solid 3.5 minutes later. That is not good. That's not good. These gases should have been saturated a long time. Right now you're actually losing, which is surprising once again, because your first 5-6 minutes were actually very good. Makes me sad to see. It really does make me sad to see. Currently we also have 11 battle cruisers versus... 11 Corruptors against 7 battle cruisers. Now, the battle cruisers have a spell that allows you to delete 1 Corruptor every time you fly in, and that you can do that with every single BC. So technically, if you hit your Yamatos well here, even with just 5, you should be fighting... Oh no, it's just gonna hit a single one. If you hit every single Yamato with 7 battle cruisers, I mean, there's only going to be 4 Corruptors left, and I do believe you can fight that. You can win that fight with the BCs, for sure. So... probably gonna need a couple more Corruptors here, buddy, don't we? I like the Neural Parasite as well. That's a very good call, because Neural is actually probably the best counter you have to the BC when it comes to supply. So Corruptors are 2 supply, Infestors are 2 supply. 1 Corruptor doesn't beat a BC, but 1 Infestor, it also doesn't really beat a CC, but that kind of does actually, because you just take it over and you can kill it for free. It fights on your side. Like it's very powerful. You can even use the Yamato if you take it on early. Like if you're fighting against 10 BCs and you have 5 or 6 Infestors and the rest of your supply in Corruptors, you're going to win that fight extremely hard. Another thing you can do, by the way, is saying, hey, there's absolutely no ground forces. The moment my opponent takes a fort base, I have very good upgrades for my links. I could just bust the fort base every time he tries to take one. However, in order to bust a fort base, you need to know that there is a fort base trying to go down. So you need vision over here on the left side. You're going to need vision here on the top side. Right now you have no vision. And we're instead transitioning into battle Broodlords. So far you've seen 5 BCs and about 5 Marines with combat shield. How is the main priority here going to be fighting off the ground force? I don't quite understand. Now, it's possible that I'm the idiot. Actually, it's not possible. The guy that is building 8 Broodlords to deal with 18 Marines is probably the idiot here, not me. Especially given the fact that there's already 68 links out. That is a sufficient number of links here to deal with the ground force. Now these BCs coming out could actually do him a favor, take out some of these some of these Broodlords. Yeah, it's actually just going to Yamato a bunch of brutes as well. Took out 5 Broodlords there. If he would have gone straight for the Corruptors, Gemstone Geno would have instantly won here. I still think he's winning extremely hard. I mean, what is this? This is 10 BCs against 17 Corruptors. We still have 4 Yamatos remaining. That means that Corruptors are gonna die. Chris here is looking at it. It's like, wow, what is the biggest sense of urgency? It's like this single depot. Nah, never mind. He's like, gets it down to 10 HP. He's like, yeah, that will burn. No, but I know how this works. You can't repair that. It's too long. Now, he figured out the timing, the exact timing that it takes to walk from the third base with an SCV over to that depot. He made the mental calculation. Now, he could have been busy microing the Corruptors instead, or thinking of the next move that didn't involve him losing all of his air units or morphing into Brute Lords. But instead, he spent his mental energy calculating when the perfect time was to pull away the link so that the depot would burn down. Good use of the facilities there. 8 Corruptors against 8 BCs, and this game now is pretty much over. There are 99 drones. He's going into chitinous plating. He's really afraid of those Marines. Love to see it. Maybe more of a couple more. Anabolic synthesis as well. I love that there's just no sense of urgency here whatsoever. He has 2 Corruptors against 8 battle cruisers. And the only thing that Chris can think to do is to start anabolic synthesis, to make Ultras move faster while off creep. Because that is the one scenario he's the most worried about. Not worried about the 8 BCs knocking on his door. He's like, well, what do I need to move my Ultras off creep at some point? If I had Ultras, of course, in the near future, that is. Because right now, he has 0 Ultras. That's a lot of gas investing into that. Could have been extra Corruptors. Luckily, Gemstone Gino decides that this game isn't over yet. This is the last game Gemstone Gino is allowed to play. His mom told him, all right, Gino, 1 more game. It's like, oh, come on, Mom. Been working with the gemstones all day. I'm so close to diamond. Like, no, Gino, 1 more game. Like, all right, Mom. Battle Cruisers and Vikings. Making sure that he maxes out before he wins the game. Wants to go to bed on a good feeling. Wants to go to bed on a good feeling. +2 at least. It's not a real game if you don't have +2. The first strategy game that I ever played was Warcraft 3. Played it at my cousin's house. And I remember my cousin told me, Warcraft 3 said, if the game doesn't last for an hour, it wasn't really a good game. And because my cousin was an authority figure for me, for years I believed that if the game didn't last for an hour, it wasn't a good game. So even if I won, if the game didn't last the hour, I was like, it didn't feel very good. And then at some point I realized that that's just something he said because he believed, we were playing against the AI as well back then. I was like, man. And I finally realized that it's allowed to just win in 5 minutes. It would be great. My cousin would not be happy with all the cannon rushing I'm doing right now. Glad he doesn't watch my YouTube channel. He would not approve. What has happened to you, Kevin? You're such a sweet child. It's okay. Triple CC is going down here as the 4th base is just going up for free. We still do have those 97 workers. Can maybe get some investors? Why are we getting every upgrade that has ever existed and then not using it? Like we have freaking Baneling Speed, chitinous plating, anabolic synthesis, neural parasite. Chris is a bit of a pretender, isn't he? He's like the type of guy that buys like a $5,000 coffee machine, but doesn't like coffee. It contains caffeine. It's actually bad for your teeth. Did you know? It's like, piss off. Piss off, Chris. No one asked. Right? No one asked you what do you think about coffee. That a bit of a poser, you know? But not capable of using it. He's the same here. He sends like a screenshot to his friends. Like, look at all the upgrades I got, guys. Yeah, I can play any composition. And reality is messing Corruptor Ling here. Corruptor Ling over. It's a lot of Corruptors though. Not sure if attacking into the planetary with all the Lings here was great, but I'm not even sure if attacking with all those Corruptors into this is that great either. Is he individually targeting Vikings as well? I think he is. Look at the overkill that was happening there. That's not very smart. That is not very smart. This is also just funny that if you have 40 Corruptors, that out of all the things you target, it's the Viking rather than the BC. And you kind of got to understand the threat levels here, Chris. You know, this is like there's a frog. And there's a Komodo dragon running at you with full force. And the frog is also looking at you a bit funny. And you have a gun with 1 bullet and you shoot the frog. It's like, well, I'm not sure if that was the correct call. Maybe the Komodo dragon. I'm not sure if Komodo dragons, they look scary. I'm not sure. They have a lot of power. I feel like the Komodo dragon is one of those animals where you see it. And in your mind you go, I bet he can't zigzag. So you start running away in a zigzag, and then he can't zigzag, and he eats you. That would be very unfortunate. That would be so extremely unfortunate. What a way to go, though. Komodo dragon. Literally dying against the dragon. That is pretty high tier. That's a good way to go. Like on your tombstone. Died fighting a dragon. Like, and it's legit. Like, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. That's probably the best way to die. Well, it's not in the moment, but the after, the legend, you know, the myth you become. This has been an absolutely terrible game, by the way. Just constant moving into planetary turret lines. Missed target firing. Not having denied a single base, despite the opponent not having a ground force. Okay, this could be a good fight. Now, okay. This wasn't a good fight, but it could have been fine if Chris had every single base on the map and had denied his opponent's bases. Like, this fight by itself, it wasn't great, but if you had, like, taken out this base earlier, you didn't allow it to land, and this base, this is a very strong hypothetical, I now realize. I'm basically saying that if Chris would have, you know, macroed better and just denied bases, so basically just done the two main things that he didn't do, if he would have done those, this game would probably be okay. And that terrible fight would still be terrible, but it would be okay because he would be so far ahead. Yeah, he just needs to get infestors. If you get infestors here and you neural, that would be huge. You could also use Vipers to yoink individual battlecruisers in. Now, I'm not sure how useful that is because battlecruisers can still just kind of Yamato as you're trying to fly in, and it's difficult to use Vipers. Infestors tend to be a little bit easier because you just hit the neural parasite button and you're going to be fine. Now there's... This is the first attack that Gino does, I think. Like, he flew earlier to try and attack some overlords here with his VCs. This is the first thing. There's no ground units. There are no ground units. And these Marines don't have stim. What in the world am I watching? North American Platinum, huh? He's taken out a base. This is... Chris is getting desperate. He's like, oh no. If this forces the desperate all-in attack, because Chris, like, look, he lost like 15 workers to this. How is that even possible? He moonwalked across the map with these Marines. That took a long time. They had no stim. They have +2 though. How did they get +2? Gino is a wonderful player. I want to get more replays. I bet he does this every single game. What is his random eBay doing here? Maybe he thinks you need a second eBay for the second upgrade. That's why he never plays by. It's like, oh, upgrade's too expensive. Yeah, no, for me, nah, the upgrade's way too expensive. No shot, buddy. He's gonna right-click this refinery. Yep, there we go. Right-click, this is good. Base denial. I like it. We're still in the game. We're taking a lot of bases right now. I still believe we probably should be considering getting something, and like maybe like actually parasitic bomb would be huge on the Vikings. Fungal would be huge on the Vikings. Ooh, move commanding all your links into one mine. It's also a big move. We are target firing different battle cruisers here. We left one semi-alive. Look, we're just switching targets the entire time. Now we go back to this one. So we end up killing 2 BCs and losing, I think that was 28 corruptors. Not a very good trade. There's another quick tip. If your opponent has a much bigger army and he's defending and he's not threatening anything, you're in charge of when the fight happens. So you don't have to attack into your opponent. If you see your opponent has 20 Vikings and 12 battlecruisers, maybe you could think, maybe I shouldn't attack into it. This is stupid. GG, I guess. This is not stupid, Chris. The way you played was stupid. Absolutely not okay. Absolutely not okay. And let's just up straight here into our verdict. And our verdict here is very simple, as just like a 90-year-old man without teeth trying to eat soup, Chris, you too do suck. And that is just the way it is. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Is It IMBA or Do I Suck? If you did enjoy this, don't forget to hit the like button. subscribe to the channel. I hope to see all of you next time for a new video. And ciao, ciao.